record and just setting up the live stream. Sorry, it's taking a bit of time to load.
All right.
Okay, good. All right. So Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And a very good morning to everyone who is present and also listening in. So inshallah, this talk and discussion really is titled Brexit, Opportunities and Challenges. So I'll introduce myself, and after that I'll introduce our speaker for today. So my name is Iskandar. I'm one of the members of the International Development and Politics Cluster of ICRAM United Kingdom and Ireland. So ICRAM United Kingdom and Ireland is it's basically a non-governmental organization, but our focus is on developing Muslims to be the best that they can be, and also we are a da'wah organization as well. We are the branch of the UK and Ireland branch of Pertubuhan Ikram Malaysia, which basically is our parent organization. And Ikram Malaysia is a lot more developed in that they've got various different activities, and their sort of charity and da'wah work, it spans a much wider range of society, to be honest. So that's about us, basically. The talk today is titled Brexit, Opportunities and Challenges, as I mentioned earlier. And I think we've organized this talk because I think Brexit is one of the defining events in British history for at least the last 50 years, if I can say that. And its ramifications are, even though it's something that mainly occurred between the United Kingdom and the European Union, the effects will be felt in other countries as well. Today, in particular, we'll be talking about, its effect on countries outside of the European Union. And a lot was made about how, the UK can pivot to its traditional connections with other Commonwealth countries. But so far, we've not heard much more fleshing out of that idea from the government themselves. So we're pleased today to have a very eminent speaker with us. So his name is Dr. Imran Mohaak. He's an associate professor of economics at the University of Manchester, and his research centers around economic growth and development and also government policies. He did his PhD in Manchester with a British Commonwealth Scholarship, and he was awarded an ESRC postdoctoral fellowship at the same university. He's also worked as a research fellow at the Centre for Research on Globalization and Economic Policy in the University of Nottingham. So as we mentioned, so he's an associate professor of economics, and specifically within that, he's a macro development economist. So he's interested in looking at the causes and also consequences of growth and development. So a lot of his work involves looking at the impact of human capital, governance, specifically corruption, government policy, and trade liberalization, and what this has, the effect it has on economic growth and productivity, the channels of their impact, i.e., how it exerts the impact, and the reverse causality, so how one affects the other. And he uses various different models to explain and work through all this. So yeah, he's also written and produced many research papers, roughly 30, in various peer-reviewed journals such as the Journal of Economic Dynamics and Control, the Journal of Theoretical Economics, Economics Letters, and so on. He's also supervised dozens of PhD students, and these students have now become established in their own academic centers in different countries around the world. Lastly, he's also been invited by different projects and different international agencies and governments, such as the World Bank, the Islamic Development Bank, the Chinese Ministry of Finance, and also OECD, as an expert economist to do research and advise on governance, government policy, and growth. He's also presented his research in many international conferences, such as the European Economic Association Conference, Money, Macro, and Finance Conference, and so on. And he's given talks in economics departments of many different universities, both in the UK and abroad. So this isn't his complete resume, but as you can see, it's quite extensive, and he is definitely someone who's very suited to talking to us about this. And I guess it goes without saying that Dr. Imran, do you speak Malay or not at all?
No, unfortunately.
That's fine. So yeah, because our audience is predominantly Malay, all I ask is that if you are going to ask a question, please use English, because otherwise I'm afraid if I translate it, the message might not get through. Okay, so
Yeah,
we'll hand over to Dr. Imran, and if you have any questions, you can put it into the comments, and we will try to answer them after after the first session, after the first part is finished, inshallah. Okay, so without further ado, over to you, Dr. Imran.
Thank you, Dr. Iskandar. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I am really pleased and honored to be here, amidst so many young and vibrant, Dawa activists, I would say, and also who are definitely, I presume, academically sound and, qualified professionals. I myself am involved in DAO activities extensively in the UK as well, which I haven't mentioned because I was not fully aware of your background. So maybe if I knew, I would have mentioned those as well. So I'm originally from Bangladesh, and I came here in 1998 with British Commonwealth Scholarship to do PhD. And since then onward, I have been extensively involved with Dawa activities within our Muslim community and for the non-Muslim Dawa as well. So this is one of the added reasons that I feel privileged to be here with you all. So I think let me share with the screen with you of my presentation. What I'm going to do is effectively, I think Dr. Iskander, I was thinking of the impact or possible consequences, which would mention about opportunities and challenges of Brexit for UK, and eventually, or my conclusion would be towards actually looking into the opportunities in particularly Asian countries. So I may not be able to, what is it called, explain in detail in that area because I'm mainly focused on, say, what's going to happen to UK, and UK is going to be bound to actually turn towards Asian countries or the Commonwealth countries. That would be my kind of conclusion there. So is that okay?
Yes, no, anything.
That's good. Okay, so let me share the screen. So can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Can you hear me properly?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you make it full? The slide.
Sorry?
The slide. Can you make it full page?
So I'm going to
the
just make it a
yeah.
slideshow. Yeah.
That's
Okay.
better.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. So basically, obviously, as Dr. Iskander was mentioning, after more than 4 years of nightmare of the British government, they've been able to strike the deal, and which we have been waiting for, and it has come into the effect from 1st of January. Now it is actually today is just only 1 month, about a month has gone past. It is too early to say what would be the consequences really, or at this stage we can just only speculate, and then obviously we can talk about the challenges for UK, and when it comes to opportunities, we'll see that UK is kind of losing, has sort of lost the opportunities to get involved with the European Union again. So that's why they have to turn to the rest of the world. And when we say rest of the world, it is going to be mainly United States and the Asian countries, or we can think about Commonwealth countries as well. Okay. So if we want to actually try to understand the potential consequences for Brexit, we have to actually answer 5 specific questions, or look into these 5 specific areas. Number one is, what would be the impact on the EU businesses? Because there are a lot of business companies who have got the subsidiaries and their activities in different European countries. And in terms of our migration, to and from, is 3 million EU citizens live in the UK and 2 million UK citizens live in the EU. So effectively, UK has been benefiting actually in the net in terms of providing these services, the qualified services to the EU, as opposed to getting these services from the EU. Number two is, we need to look into what is going to happen to the UK law, in terms of, say, for example, European Union directives and regulations. I think just to make everybody aware that the EU has directives for all its member countries, and directives are not exactly the laws, but all the individual countries within the European Union, they have to adjust their laws according to once any directive is passed in the European Union. But there are European Union regulations which are considered to be law for all the member countries. Like, say, for example, regulations around the single market, yeah. And also there are, the law and the directives on the fundamental rights of the citizens of different countries within the European Union. So what's going to happen to them? It's not just only economic benefits. There are so many, legal, political, social, and economic benefits, or advantages or disadvantages we need to look into. Number three is about the policies. There are so many different, say, regional and agricultural policies. Regional meaning within the UK, the areas like Northern Ireland, Wales, the disadvantaged, areas are more funded by the European Union. So what's going to happen to them? So UK will have to think about that. And then research and innovation funding, particularly, say, for example, in the academia, there is a huge European research fund there. So we're going to lose that. Then the British government will have to actually think about, coming out with robust policies to basically support those research and innovation. And also on the competition policy, and then international trade negotiations is obviously an obvious consequence. Now UK will have to engage with so many different countries for the international trade negotiations and come out with policies. Okay. Number four, as we need to look into whether this will have some transitional period, which we have. So, for example, I think from 1st of January, there is a transition period of 10 months there. So that was a question, whether it will be abrupt or transition. There will be some transition period. I think someone is trying to enter. So obviously, this question is already answered. There is a transitional period there, so there is going to be some smoothness in the enactment of the deal. And number four is the most important one: is what would be the future relationship between UK and EU, European Union. So whether it is going to be free trade, or its labor will be able to freely move to and from all the countries within the European Union or not, and whether the UK businesses will have the chance to basically free to do the businesses, open their subsidiaries in different countries as they used to do. So these are the 5 questions, the British economy need to answer, or the British government needs to answer. And it's not easy. It will take a lot of time, maybe in just be, as this is one of the consequences that in next 4, 5, 6 years, it is going to unfold, gradually, effectively. So now, so what we have gained actually out of this, in the UK, we've gained, it's like the British population in 2016, we have voted for Brexit because we wanted to have the political sovereignty. We were feeling too much control of European Union, but obviously at a cost of losing the economic benefits of European integration. At that time, the big figure that was going on into the mind of British population was that every year we have to pay, say, around 15 billion pound as a kind of a fee as a member for European Union. So we are going to, everybody thought that, okay, so it is, to be precise, 2019, it was $14.4 billion, 14.4 billion pound. And people were thinking that it is a big amount that we're going to be able to save. But eventually we find out, actually in the net, we're going to lose even more. And that's what I'm going to show you in a moment. And then about the deal on the trade negotiations, whether it is, what type of deal it is going to be. Is it going to be joining in the, coming out of European Union, but joining in the European Economic Area? European Economic Area means, that you can you can sell all your goods, in any country of that European Economic Area, or do we want to go for, say, for example, Swiss type deal, that is, instead of going into any structure, rather negotiating bilateral deals with European Union, plus European free trade area. Free trade area meaning, there will be no free, what is it called? No barriers, tariff or non-tariff barriers. But this automatically means that, there will be no free trade in services. Okay. And the last one, which everybody was scared of having no deal and going for just a standard World Trade Organization option, to get more sovereignty, but obvious consequence would be, say, less trade and bigger fall in income even after abolishing tariffs completely. So, with which, say, the benefit would be to negotiate trade deals with non-EU countries, but the caveat would be the less bargaining power than European Union, because UK is much smaller economy than the European Union. So these are the pros and cons of different options that were available for UK. As I mentioned in brief, European, to choose a European Economic Area option. In there, obviously, if UK has not gone into this, so we don't need to talk about it effectively. It's kind of belonging to the single market, so you do all the businesses as if it is your country. But if you do that, the negative is basically you have to comply with the rules and the policies that are made in the European Union. In there, you would not have any say there. So basically, you'll have to abide by the rules set by the European Union. Bilateral agreements, you are free to trade in goods and free to move your people. So basically, more flexible there. But again, obviously, you would have no say in the policy making there. European Free Trade Area, this is just only trade of group goods. So this is goods, bilateral agreements, you would get the benefit of, going for any agreement that you need or that you think would be beneficial for you, okay? And the last one is World Trade Organization, going for no deal with the European Union, and basically treating every country in the European Union as kind of individual country like rest of the world. So out of these four options, effectively what we found out is the UK has not taken either of them. So what UK has done is it kind of came out with a balanced deal where they picked some of from a bit from every type of the deals, basically, and keeping UK a little, kind of free to choose eventually to choose any other countries for future trade negotiations. Okay, so now, having said that, what are the real options actually available? Say, one is to the possibility that's where we are more interested in actually, that the UK to propose a free trade area among Commonwealth countries. This is one opportunity UK has, and also the Commonwealth countries have got that opportunity as well. So now, when it comes to the developing countries or Commonwealth countries, particularly our Asian countries, in terms of negotiation, we're going to have, the developing countries are going to have more, what is it called? More strength in the negotiation, because UK has become weaker as being the small economy, compared to when it was with the European Union. Okay, so there is another option possible for UK to join, say, NAFTA, North American Free Trade Area. The members are Canada, Mexico, and USA. For that, the thing is whether they're going to benefit at all, because already by now, say, European Union are dismantling the trade barriers anyway through the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership. So particularly, say, currently with USA, European Union is gradually dismantling the trade barriers. So that means if you are with EU, you would actually get the same benefit. So there is no extra benefit by coming out of European Union. So not sure if UK can negotiate more and better as a small economy, as I mentioned, and but the positive is now UK doesn't need to compromise with the European Union. Instead, UK can look for the interest of its own businesses and the consumers when it comes to negotiating with any countries, even including European Union. So the difficulty would be always, as I have already mentioned a couple of times, the European Union is the world's second largest exporter behind China. China is the first, the largest exporter. And in terms of being importer, European Union is again second largest importer. sorry, there is a typo there, importer, behind the United States. And compared to that, the UK is much smaller market, and basically we have lost the bargaining power. You know, we have got less bargaining power than European Union. So I think, I say, what we have gained just only the autonomy. You know, we will be able to basically choose our policies ourselves, but at the cost. The cost is, this economic cost is quite heavy. I'm going to show you in a moment. And even, say, for example, if you want to access the different markets, bigger markets like the USA, United States, there are you know, associated costs there as well. You know, say for example, the Canada in NAFTA, they have you know, if they want to, any business wants to access, if Canada wants to access the United States market, they need actually this investment state dispute settlement. They need to agree on that, where basically you know, the businesses from the United States could directly claim to Canadian government. You know, so, and it you know, for Canada as an example, it turned out to be quite costly, because the US businesses are more efficient to basically claim the benefits from the Canadian government, as opposed to the vice versa. So now, so that's why we need to look for this rest of the world, but that is not going to be actually adequate replacement, mainly because, you know, European Union is automatically, geographically, it is just your neighbor. So we know that in international economics discipline, we know that distance is a big factor actually for international trade, exporting, importing, because, you know, there is a rule of thumb there. They're doubling the distance, roughly halves the trade between the two countries. So that's why, and that is the reason, basically, roughly half of the UK's trade are with actually European Union. So that means how UK has to think about, you know, how it is going to come out, you know, what is it called, come out of this issue or this difficulty, that the farther the UK goes for trade negotiations, you know, harder it would be and more costly as well. Okay, there's a, you know, just if you think about in a simple way, they just forget about anything else, just only the transportation cost would be quite high. Okay, and then there are also, you know, whole host of non-tariff barriers there, you know, differences in culture, and because of that, obviously, you know, the non-tariff barriers, you know, would be so high that it will be so costly for international trade, or going for trade negotiation with the countries farther away from UK. So now, having said those, let me try to show you some figures. What exactly triggered, you know, this big question that we want to get out of European Union? This was the main figure actually that came in the slogan from the Brexit camp, effectively. As I mentioned, you know, that just only 2019, the UK's estimated contribution was 14.4 billion, as I mentioned in the beginning. Okay, you know, after deducting the rebates, and but we received in the public sector £5 billion. In the net, basically, the UK's contribution was 9.4 billion. So now, this was just only in terms of figure. an amount just only for the fee for membership. But the point is, doing all the businesses freely, movement of people, labor, capital, and investments, um, those are not counted there. So those will actually become more than double of this. Okay. So ultimately, in the net, UK was beneficiary by being in the European Union. So even say, for example, the government's analysis in the say HM Treasury library, I've just picked some of the figures from there. uh, you know, uh, where they basically looked into the arrangements on trade and investment, immigration, regulations, EU budget contributions, that 14.4 billion, on top of that, these three areas, uh, where UK facing, say, for example, higher trade and non-tariff barriers, larger negative impact on the UK economy because of coming out of European Union, and new trade deals necessary. Taking all these into account, and the government HM Treasury basically tried to look into 5 possible scenarios. First one, say, UK being in the customs union. UK didn't actually go for it in the end. And checkers minus is basically, customs union plus greater trade barriers with the EU. And third option is a European. Third scenario is European Economic Area that I mentioned. If we were if we chose to stay inside the single market. And fourth choice, or fourth scenario they have looked into is free trade agreement. I think I explained those. And the fifth scenario, they looked into the no deal, going under just World Trade Organization. And for these 5 scenarios, they looked into, for each of them, in terms of migration, 2 scenarios: no change to rules, basically, by which UK were benefiting more than the European Union countries, or zero net migration from European Economic Area. So, taking those, basically, they try to simulate, the results to find out, say, what would be the difference, the percentage difference in GDP level in 15 years compared with staying in the EU. Okay, so they have taken a scenario that, okay, from now until 15 years down the line, if we stayed in the EU, what GDP level we would have, and as opposed to if we go for either of these 5 scenarios. So no deal, free trade area, European Economic Area, checkers deal, meaning the customs union and no trade barrier, and the last one is the customs union. So you can see, we don't need to just only, these figures are very clear there. We don't need to talk about the what is it called, the numbers. All are negative. Can you see the 15 years down the line, even the government's own calculation, right? Uh, if UK went for no deal, it would have been disastrous. But somewhere here, UK had struck the deal, basically. Sorry, not the customs union, but combination of something from free trade area, something from European Economic Area, and something, I think, between these two, effectively. Okay, so what we see is, yes, British government has done well in terms of striking the deal with a balanced agreement. So that means there's going to be less of a negative impact, but effectively it is going to be negative. What we see there, say for example, uh, uh, with no change to migration rules that we have mentioned in under these 5 scenarios, we're going to see uh, these two cases. One is the optimistic one, another is the pessimistic one. So you can see if we go for the zero net migration to and from, uh, so basically the GDP percentage going down, percentage difference in GDP means the GDP going down by say 9.3% for no deal, and checkers minus is 3.9%. So effectively you can see all actually going down. There is no positive scenario there, even under government's calculation. If we look at the public finances, what's going to happen to the deficit or surplus in the government budget. In the longer term, they calculated that the deficit is expected to be larger in all scenarios compared with staying in the EU. Obviously, where the no deal would have been the most disastrous. But as I mentioned that UK has struck the deal somewhere in the middle there. So it's kind of deficit, increase in the deficit would be a bit low there compared to the other options. And these are the 5 possible options were available for UK, because we have already lost the option of staying in the European Union. Even for Bank of England's, they did a kind of a short-term economic analysis, not for 15 years, long-term, just up to say 2023. They did it in 2018 for 5-year forecast. What they have seen, they have found out again, after coming out of European Union, if UK keeps the close relationship with the European Union, still GDP would be 1.75%. What is it called? Sorry, it's a positive scenario, 1.75. Bank of England is actually showing some optimistic scenario there. Because at that time, 2018, they were trying to basically propagate, going for the deal instead of no deal, because no deal would be so disastrous. You can see 4.75% lower it would be, if it is disruptive no deal Brexit. Another one is if it is disorderly no deal Brexit, then it would be even more disastrous. So basically, this was, maybe some would say that this was kind of more politically motivated, to try to give a support for the deal as opposed to the no deal. So now, what is the Brexit deal that we have got? So I have, it's a thousands of pages of document actually, but from there, if you want to summarize, these are the areas basically the deal was struck. For trade, as I mentioned that UK has taken kind of mixture of say European Economic Area, a free trade area, and even say World Trade Organization, some bits for World Trade Organization. So you see that even though we have come out of European Union, so UK government has basically gone for no taxes on goods or no quotas on the imports, UK imports. There will be checks at borders, safety checks or customs declarations. And because of that, they already by now, there is a heavy paperwork has started there, for each of the, what is it called, the transported goods. Say, for example, if you think about the border area, Dunkirk or Kent, the holiest, they are complaining that it is already they are facing 8 to 15 hours delay because of they have to fill in a lot of forms, new forms. So, and this is going to cost heavily the UK economy. Restrictions on certain UK animal food products. So obviously, once you come out of the European Union, you're going to have to face these kind of restrictions there. Services and qualifications in terms of, say, banking, architecture, accounting, are going to lose their automatic right of access to EU markets and will face some restrictions. And it will be no longer the recognition of the professional qualifications will be no longer automatic. Say, for example, for doctors, chefs, and architects. Now, what will happen is, basically each and every individual, if you look at, what to do effectively. The UK. Obviously, individuals will have to now try to comply with the qualifications. Basically, each country's rules on qualifications, they are different, so they have to try to abide by those. So that means now getting the jobs in different countries are going to be, for the British citizens, are going to be harder or difficult. And the travel, there is now it used to be free movement completely, but now there is going to be visa for longer than 90 days in the European Union in a 180-day period, and so many other restrictions there. Fishing, this was one of the very difficult area when it came to negotiating between European Union and UK. So over the next 5.5 years, basically the UK will gradually gain a greater share of the fish from its own waters. And European Court, now there will be no role, any law that coming from the European Court of Justice, there will be no role in the UK. And if there are any disputes between UK and European Union countries, it will be referred to an independent tribunal in the state of European Court of Justice. Okay, so this gives us the this feel-good factor that is taking back our control. But the point is, now our there is going to be lots of not only paperwork but also training the professionals and the bureaucrats and the law professionals to basically get used to the new situation and enacting new laws as well within the UK, because European Union law would not work there. Okay. Security and data, there will be no automatic access to key security database, but UK can gain access upon request. UK will not be a member of the European Union's law enforcement agency, say Europol, not obliged to comply with European Union standards of data protection, but the data will continue to be exchanged for at least 4 months, from the beginning. So these are the areas automatically the potential loss would, gradually creep in, and particularly the education area. So there's going to be no Erasmus exchange program by which, the students can actually go to different countries within the European Union for their higher study. So this is going to stop. So now UK will have to think about these students, and fund them. So there's another set of costs that will come there. So these are the major highlights basically of the deal. So now the estimated impacts is, you can see the situation is kind of, if you look at it from the economic perspective, not thinking about it politically, then it looks grim. The I don't want to burden you with all the detail, just only if you look at the last row there, the income change per household. Under the optimistic scenario, yeah, uh, the optimistic scenario is the increase in EU, UK non-tariff barriers, plus exclusion from the future fall in non-tariff barriers within EU, okay, and saving of 17% lower fiscal transfer. Okay, so what is it basically? If you take this optimistic scenario, after coming out of the European Union, you don't save actually all 14.4 billion pound. Rather, you'll have to pay under this scenario, say 83% of this 14.4 billion. So you can save only 17% there. Okay, and the pessimistic scenario is say mostly favored nation tariff plus increase in the EU UK non-tariff barriers plus exclusion from future fall in NTB non-tariff barriers basically within EU. So what is happening there is the saving is just only 0.31% net fiscal transfer. So taking these two scenarios, you see under optimistic scenario, UK households per household, we are going to lose £850 a year. And the pessimistic scenario, it is £1,700 we're going to lose per household. Everybody is going to, like within the European Union, you can see this is a negative figure under pessimistic and optimistic and pessimistic scenario. UK would lose the most, and all other countries are going to lose less within the European Union. Very interestingly, you can see the rest of the world, Turkey, Taiwan, say Australia, Russia, Canada, Korea, China, we can see they're going to benefit there, in terms of increase in their GDP. Very tiny percent, even though tiny percentage, but they're going to benefit out of UK coming out of European Union. So the effects of Brexit and unilateral trade liberalization on UK living standards, again, you can see, even under optimistic scenario, it's going to go down 0.98%. I think having said all these, if we just only want to summarize what's going to happen. So number one, if I just only read out, I think EU being the largest trade partner, so we're going to lose big time in trade costs. We're going to benefit less from the. So this is the thing, from now on, if we want to go for any trade deal with the European Union, we're going to benefit less because they're not going to treat us as their member. And there's going to be benefit of lower contribution to EU budget. Yes, say for example, under optimistic scenario, we said, say, what is it? Say 83%. Still, we don't need to pay, say, 14.4 billion, but still we have to pay. Optimistic scenario, full access to EU single market if we get, there's going to be 1.3% fall in the UK income, which we have already shown, £850 per household. Pessimistic scenario is £1,700 per household. UK GDP will fall between, say, 26 to 55 billion pound, whereas EU will fall half of it. So EU will lose less than the UK. UK removing all tariffs from rest of the world, even after removing all tariffs from the rest of the world, still there's going to be fall in 1% to 2.3% fall in UK income. And under the long-term scenario, obviously there's going to be, because of the reduced trade, the productivity would go down, and because of that, this loss in the longer term will be even higher. And we're going to miss out, say, US and Japanese deals with the European Union. Yes, so, and there also we're going to lose another 0.6% real income rise. UK would lose bargaining power, obviously, because it is a very small market, 18% of the EU single market. Regulatory benefits are we going to get? Not sure, because UK is one of the OECD's least regulated product and labor markets. Okay, big ticket savings are supposedly from abolition of so could be possibility, renewable energy strategy and the working time directive, both of which receive considerable domestic political support. Government can go down that road. On a positive note, if I want to finish, from the Barclays Bank boss recently said that, Jess Staley, that in a post-Brexit world, the UK must look to compete with cities outside of Europe, such as, here you can see he's referring to Asian countries, New York, Singapore, and say for, Malaysia could be one of the destinations. And good thing is, for the Asian countries or the Commonwealth countries is they're going to get, they're going to carry more strength in the negotiation, because UK has become a kind of alone, a smaller market, and they're desperate. Basically, at the moment, they're trying to strike a deal with India recently, and so many other countries, basically. So, as individual country, they're going to be weak in the negotiation table. So, the countries like Malaysia and the other Asian countries, they can take the advantage of this situation. So while some jobs in the financial services sector have moved to basically European Union countries as a result of Brexit, but this this can be an opportunity for UK and London to look beyond Europe. That is again, the Barclays Bank boss is mentioning it, beyond Europe. And particularly, actually, I mentioned somewhere, I'm not sure whether I mentioned it, it was there in my slides, that the particularly Commonwealth countries, the Brexit gives the UK the opportunity to define its own agenda. It's like these are kind of basically you are trying to motivate your government, motivate your business market, and the people in the economy or the consumers. And that's what we have to do, actually. We have to try to define this agenda around the financial services, which is our strength, by trying to stay competitive with other markets outside of Europe. And the government is actually really trying to focus on this, because our financial services, financial market in London is still, the most efficient around the world, not only within the European Union. Britain needs to make sure London is one of the best places, whether it is regulation or law or language or talent, all these, our economy has got a very good level of regulation, which is very important for businesses to flourish, and that can attract basically the businesses from outside. But he was giving a caution that government has already started deregulating, abolishing all the tariff barriers, non-tariff barriers, because government is trying to actually attract businesses. So this is a caution. Basically, it shouldn't be at the cost of widespread deregulation, because regulation is one of the strengths of the UK economy. So that's it. If I stop here, I'm not sure whether I have taken longer than expected.
It's all right. Thank you very much, Dr. Imran. I think that was very illuminating for everyone who's listening in at the moment. So we'll move on to the sort of questions from the audience, and yeah, we've collected questions from various different places, whether it's on Slido or Facebook Live or in this conversation. So I think we'll start with ones that Muhammad Ali Hassan has asked. So the first one, I think you've briefly answered it about whether the UK is gaining or losing out of the
Yeah.
EU.
Yes, he has answered it. Thank
Yeah. So I guess the second question would be, are there any benefits? Okay. Sorry. Yeah. So are there any benefits to the UK joining, say, ASEAN, ASEAN or like the sort of Asia Pacific economic blocks?
Yeah. As I mentioned, like all the other blocks now, can you hear me?
you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
This is the right time. This is the good time for them basically to try to strike deals, because UK is desperately looking for deals now. So, the government, all the government calculations, which they may not be actually informing the people, uh, are kind of grim. So that's why they need to strike deals with so many different countries and the blocks outside European Union. So obviously ASEAN, or the blocks from the Asian countries, this is a good opportunity actually. Does it answer your question? Yeah, I hope.
Yeah. Yes. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. I think these the questions. If the UK is still enjoying some of the benefits pre-Brexit, could it lead to other countries exiting EU as well, and maybe eventually the disembodiment of EU? So European Union, by staying in the European Union, actually not only the smaller economies, the bigger economies are also benefiting effectively, and the UK is going to be a kind of an example for the existing members, that staying within the EU would be more beneficial than coming out. So this might actually strengthen EU more in future. Okay. Financial firms based in the UK would lose passporting rights to freely work in the EU. Can London maintain its status as the main European Union hub? That's a very good question. Where was it? Where is it? Sorry, I lost that question. Can you? Anyway, where was the question?
Yeah.
Can you go up, or is it maybe down? Perhaps.
It's I think the one that Imran asked.
Okay, I think this is a good question. The thing is, the financial sector in London is quite differently efficient than the financial sectors in, say, Paris, France, Germany, or any European Union countries. So, number one, having the international language is a big advantage. The English, right? And number two is, in terms of regulation, UK is well ahead of any other countries. If you want to save your money, keep your money safe, UK financial hub is much safer than any other financial hub in other countries. So, and this is number two. And number three is, in terms of professionalism as well, because it has got a long experience and the history of maintaining this financial center, the financial activities. It's going to be very difficult for France or Germany to, attract really the big banks. Let's say, for example, I was talking about Barclays Bank. Barclays Bank is not planning to basically open big offices in European Union countries, or we haven't had any large banks actually trying to move away from London. So I think those are the main benefits, basic benefits actually. Because of those, actually, they are going to stay in London. So in that sense, the financial sector would not be affected that much. So this is a good thing, obviously, out of all the pessimistic scenario that we have seen. Okay. What are the economic benefits we have talked about? Hypothetically, if the Conservative government should lose the next election, would the next government be looking to reverse Brexit? I don't think so. Brexit is done. Brexit is done. We cannot reverse. It's going to be impossible because once you come out of a union, would they want to take you back? Or if you want to go back, what's going to happen is you will have to basically accept all their demands. So now, basically, if you want to get in now, it's not going to be economically beneficial because now you're going to go with losing a lot of your advantages or the rights that you were enjoying. So for example, within EU, because of UK being English-speaking country and having long heritage of, say, ruling the world, and there was a kind of a perception as well among the European Union countries that the UK professionals are more efficient, UK bureaucrats are more efficient. Unfortunately, during the Brexit deal, it turned out that the European Union professionals were more efficient in dealing with the negotiations. So ultimately, UK would not benefit by going back. I don't think any of the Conservative or Labour government would think about it. And also, it's going to be very difficult to go for another referendum. The British people will reject it simply. So Brexit is done. I don't think there is any go back. Is or will the Brexit deal be different with the EU regulations, as well as the issues of immigration or hard borders for the Northern Ireland and Republic of Ireland? Yeah, for Northern Ireland, obviously, because they have got some connections still with the European Union, there is a potential risk, of Northern Ireland. I know Republic of Ireland is obviously a different country, but Northern Ireland and the Scotland, UK, in near future or immediate political risk for the British government is, Scotland and Northern Ireland might put more pressure by saying that they want to go out of United Kingdom. So effectively, UK, politically, UK has become weak, in terms of being united. So obviously, it is different for Northern Ireland and Scotland as well. Okay. The one big question is, UK will have to come out with what is it called, this funding thing, because Northern Ireland, Wales, they were getting more fund because of those regions being disadvantaged region. So that means UK will have to come out with how to find the how to find the funding for those regions. Okay, what would be the likely strategy for UK to benefit from? Can you just I'm sorry, this R-shape, what is it? Whoever has asked.
It's the new free trade zone with the Asian countries.
Oh, okay. likely strategy for the UK to benefit from? Obviously, any free trade zone, free trade area, UK will try to basically, find out and then strike the deals, or, it is, I would say, it is rather for the free trade zone that UK is going to try to do negotiation. For those free trade zones or the individual countries, they would be in the beneficial position, advantageous position, effectively, because UK, now, for now, maybe after 5-6 years down the line, perhaps UK might come out as kind of a strong party in the international trade arena. After striking the deals with, say, for example, United States or Canada or NAFTA, so those big ones. Okay, so what areas would the UK be attractive into the Asian countries? Education, more international campuses, science and technology, more companies set up in Asia. I think you said it. Good. So those could be for possible areas. Yes, I think you say UK has got some campuses in Malaysia, isn't it? No, I know that I was with Nottingham. I was in Nottingham at some point. Nottingham has got a big campus in Malaysia, if I am correct. Yeah.
Yeah, quite a few unis.
Yeah, so there could be good possibility, like, say, for example, because UK is going to lose this European Research and Innovation Fund. So automatically British universities will have to actually look for these opportunities, of the research funds. So they will try to turn to, yes, maybe, countries in Asia, so under Asia, ASEAN, sorry. Okay. The union may collapse with calls for Scottish independence. I already mentioned it, and United Ireland. What's the UK government strategy to prevent this scenario? So this is a big challenge, as already mentioned. In a government will have to actually come out with big big budget to fund them effectively. It is a challenge. So then union may collapse with calls for, I think it is the same question. It is the same question, yeah?
Yeah, that's the same question. Right. And okay, I'm just checking to make sure we've not missed anything or any of the other questions that they had. Okay. I think that's most of the questions that we have. We'll give them one last chance to see whether there's any burning thoughts or anything else on their mind.
Are you asking me, or?
No, I'm just asking the rest of the audience whether there's anything else that they have thought about.
So one thing I should mention, like, say, for example, already UK is British government has made it a bit flexible for professionals coming from the Asian countries, say doctors, nurses, they will have to look for Asian and African countries effectively, because now the door from the European Union is going to be closed down. So this is going to be an opportunity for anyone who wants to actually, any professionals who want to actually come to UK. This is in terms of migration. This is I'm not sure whether it is positive or negative. Yes.
Yeah, just that it's there. Fair enough. Okay. Right, and I've just checked the other parts, and yeah, I think that's about it actually. So Yeah, so Jazakallah khair, Dr. Imran, once again for accepting our invitation. I think I can speak for everyone when I say that we found it very enlightening and would definitely hope to hear more about this in the future. Um, so if maybe just 1 minute just to sort of wrap up things or give a conclusion, and then we'll be able to finish this seminar discussion. Over to you.
Thank you very much for inviting me and listening to me. I hope I was not that pessimistic, but I couldn't give that much of positive angle to it actually. So, but it is going to be a good opportunity for the countries from rest of the world effectively to engage with UK in the trade deals. And if UK can strike the deals with different countries and the different free trade areas or zones, as quickly as possible, perhaps UK can recover, from the potential risk that UK is in. Uh, so, so we hope for the best for both. What is it called? Rest of the world and the UK as well, because we are in the UK. We want best for UK, but we have got connections in our different countries. We want best for them as well, isn't it? So, I think any trade deals are win-win always. Uh, it's like as economists, we wonder always. If you ask any economist, almost 90% of the economists would always say that it was not a good decision in terms of economic benefit. Politically fine, there is a feel good factor there that we are more sovereign. Okay, so we are running our own affairs. But the point is, by it, if you become poor, what's the big deal in it? I want to be king, but pauper king. Lost everything. Yeah. But I think it will be able to overcome, because even the European Union countries are also sympathetic because they are from the Europe, and the United States are sympathetic as well because they follow this similar type of international political policies. Yeah. So for that, perhaps I hope that UK will be able to overcome. So thank you very much, Jazakumullah khair, to all of you for listening to me. It was nice talking to you all. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Okay, so we've reached the end of our session for today. I think it was, alhamdulillah, short, concise, but packed full of useful information. If you haven't already, you can follow our Facebook page if you want to sign up for updates as well. So it's been held by so Ikram UK has 5 different clusters, and these are 2 of the different clusters, and it's the reason why we split it in that way so that we can focus on different things. So from IDP is more like sort of politics and international development, whereas the other one is business and entrepreneurship. So Brexit was kind of this nice intersection, but yeah, if you want to follow it, please click follow on our Facebook page. We will put out regular updates. So thank you everyone once again for listening. We'll end our session for today here. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi
Wa
wabarakatuh.
alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.